Hello and welcome to another episode of Work 2.0, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wells, and this is the show where we explore all things careers, money, and AI, where we're heading next. And there's a lot of talk about AI, upskilling, the future of work, what's going on, layoffs. This year has been unprecedented when it comes to layoffs since the pandemic, and a lot of people are worried. And every day I receive emails and LinkedIn DMs from people saying, what's next for me, Rachel? How am I going to survive amidst all these layoffs? What am I going to do with myself, my career, my job, my finances? And so in today's podcast, today's episode, I'm really excited because we're going to get the answers right from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I have none other than Greg Hart here with me on the podcast. He is the CEO of Coursera. Nice to have you on the show, Greg.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thrilled to be here with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first, for those of people out there who they know more about Coursera than they know more about you, tell us more about yourself, your background, and kind of what led you to Coursera.
Sure. So I joined Coursera as CEO in February, so I'm about 7 months in now. Prior to Coursera, I have had a long career in technology. I spent 23 years at Amazon in a variety of different roles. One of the highlights was Jeff Bezos asked me to take a 2-sentence idea and turn that into a product. That product was Alexa and Echo. So I led the creation and launch of Alexa and Echo from the ground up. Also led Prime Video and scaled that into a global streaming leader. So those are a couple highlights from my time at Amazon. And what really attracted me to Coursera was the opportunity, first of all, the mission, obviously, of Coursera to provide education and access to world-class education to people around the world is incredibly compelling. And I think has never been more necessary than today, given the unbelievable pace of change that is unfolding in the world. But also I felt there was a real opportunity to dramatically improve the business by doing a better job of focusing on our customer sets. So our primary customer set obviously is learners around the world. And by innovating faster for our learners, I felt there was a real opportunity to deliver not just more impact from a mission perspective, but also better business results.
Wow, that's awesome. So you're the guy behind Alexa. That actually I didn't know. So that's quite cool. We've got a lot of listeners who are into tech and stuff. So you've already kind of been dabbling with AI before AI became a thing, right?
That's right. I mean, when we were building Alexa, it leverages AI and has done from its very beginning. But at the time, we called it machine learning. And so, back in 2011 through 2014 is where we're working on the development of Alexa. We were at the very early stages of AI and not yet at generative AI.
Yeah. How does it make you feel now that we're like 2 years into, well, 3 years in almost, into generative AI being such a huge mainstream thing? How does it make you feel? Like, obviously, you've seen it kind of grow up to this level. Does that give you goosebumps?
Well, it really does. I mean, I think you've heard many people talk about how Gen AI is going to be the most transformative technology, really since the Industrial Revolution, since fire potentially.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty phenomenal to see the pace at which Gen AI has improved, first of all. Because if you think about what Gen AI is capable of now and you compare that to 3 years ago, it's really pretty phenomenal, but also the change that is going to engender across all aspects of work and life. So that certainly gives me goosebumps. I think it's very hard to forecast what the future will look like because the pace of change is moving so quickly with Gen AI.
Well, it's funny you ended with that sentence because I was just about to ask you, I'm going to ask anyway, what do you think the future of AI is when it comes to upskilling?
Well, I think AI and Gen AI specifically has really driven an unbelievable shift in what people are focused on learning. And so if you think about historically, a lot of people were focused on knowledge-based education. And now I think AI, because it is changing the nature of what you need to know and how you need to apply it in every single role, it's shifting from knowledge to skills and how you can apply AI in the specific role you're in and what are the skills that you need to be able to do that successfully. And that is one of the things that we are very focused on, with skills really as the foundation of everything that we're doing at Coursera, to deliver learners around the world the right assets and the right capabilities to grow their careers and to be able to master the skills that they need to do that.
So I guess following on from that, are there specific ways? I know AI is obviously a core part of the certifications and the courses that you guys offer. Do you have any AI, like AI coaches or things like that? I know there are companies that are doing that now to kind of assist learners in the upskilling process. Do you have AI specific products in addition to your courses?
We do, absolutely. So very quickly after ChatGPT launched in November of 2022, Coursera invested in and rolled out a slew of different AI-enabled features across the platform. Some of the primary ones that we rolled out then and have continued to improve since then are Coursera Coach, which is an AI-driven tutor that sort of sits alongside the learner in every single course. They can turn to Coach at any time, ask questions, get help prep for quizzes or assessments in those courses, and get summaries of the things that they've just learned in the course. So it's a phenomenal AI-driven tutor that we continue to improve. One of the things we just recently, where I'm in Las Vegas this week, we just finished our annual conference, Coursera Connect. And one of the things that we announced was an improvement to Coach called Role Play. And so Role Play enables learners to really brush up in a very practical way on anything they've just learned and be able to test how they can apply it. And so say I'm a salesperson and I'm taking a course on negotiation. And I want to, obviously in negotiation, you can know the theory of negotiation, but really the practice of it is what matters the most. How do you respond in the moment as you're going through it? And so role play enables you to do that. So that's one example with Coach and role play that we just announced. Another feature that we have invested in starting in early 2023 when it first launched is called Course Builder. And Course Builder is an AI-driven tool that enables content creators to far more easily create content. So we rolled it out in 2023 for our enterprise partners. And what that enabled them to do is to marry the amazing course catalog that we have on Coursera from world-class trusted university and industry partners. So, folks like Stanford, Penn, Michigan, Yale, et cetera. And then also on the industry side, you've got Google, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, AWS, et cetera. And they can marry that content with their own internal content. And so then they can create, very much well-tailored programs for their workforce, whether that's in a functional role or it's, enterprise-wide. And it makes the process of creating those courses incredibly fast. And we recently announced this week that Course Builder is now available to our university and industry partners. And so they're able to benefit from all of that AI-driven tooling to make it far easier for them to create content on our platform, and also for their students and for their faculty as well.
That's amazing. That's really cool. So speaking of the conference that you're in right now in Las Vegas, skill tracks. Tell me more about skill tracks, and specifically, like, this is something new that's come to Coursera. What exactly is it? How will this benefit learners?
So skill tracks really comes out of the recognition that because of the pace of technological change driven by Gen AI and how that's impacting every role across every company in the world, that organizations have an unbelievable need to deploy technology to help their workforces adapt and keep pace. And so there's stats from World Economic Forum that 6 out of 10 global workers are going to need reskilling within the next 5 years. And then you marry that with stats that are coming from enterprise. 63% of global employers identify skill gaps as the biggest barrier that they have organizationally to business transformation. Skill tracks is really meant to address those symptoms. And so what it does is it delivers a very tailored data-backed learning experience that's built around occupations and job tasks. and it looks at the skills that are needed in different occupational families and different roles within those families at different levels. And then it maps that to the specific content on Coursera coming from world-class trusted universities and industry partners, and gives you a map basically for any one of those track that you can follow. It's all powered by Coursera's Career Graph, which is an underlying foundational asset that we have built over the years that processes more than 2 million data points from both external organizations like Lightcast, as well as global skills frameworks, and then connects the dots between jobs, skills, and content.
So let me get this right, just to make it easier for the listeners to understand. So let's say, for example, I wanted to get a role in, going back to negotiation, let's say in sales, right? Or let's say I already work in sales. Perhaps the skills track would connect me to courses in CRM, like, customer relationship management, and also connect me to courses in negotiation. So in multiple skills within my role, that it would connect me to courses for those skills. Is that right?
That's exactly right. So this week we launched 4 skill tracks, and we're going to continue to introduce more as months pass. So the 4 that we launched this week are Gen AI, which obviously is incredibly so the Gen AI skill track teaches practical application of AI for employers and leaders across customer service, HR, data, finance, legal, marketing, product, sales, you name it. Software and product is another skill track. So that covers things like mobile development, product management, UX design, web dev, software development, IT. So that's more, computer systems and architecture, cybersecurity, IT management, IT support and operations. And then the 4th skill track is data. So developing critical skills in data analysis, data engineering, data management, AI, machine learning, et cetera. So those are the first 4, but they do exactly what you just described. Say you're a product manager and you want to learn, okay, well, how can I, given that AI is impacting the way that products get built and prototyped, how do I understand how to leverage the tools that are now available to me to be more effective at my role? And you can map that directly to the content on our platform that does that, and you can have a little ladder that you can move up, a track literally, that you can move up to gain those skills.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. And so, okay, so with when it comes to these skill tracks, obviously I know this is based on data that Coursera has gathered, a lot of labor market data that you guys have gathered. So I'm wondering, because I know soft skills, well, we don't really refer to them as soft skills, power skills or human skills. Those skills are very much needed in the workforce, like critical thinking, analytical thinking, leadership, problem solving, those sorts of things. Are they also included in the skills tracks, or is skills track just focused on the technical aspects of the role?
No, it definitely also includes soft skills as well. And so, obviously it will depend a little bit on the role. How much we would recommend sort of courses that address soft skills versus, very technical skills. But one of the interesting aspects of role play is that role play enables you to, effectively get practical hands-on practice of any given skill, whether it's technical or soft. And with our our labs and our assessments, it really gives a way for learners to develop verifiable mastery of those skills. Not just, I watched a video, consumed some knowledge, but I can actually demonstrate that I can apply it. And so one of the things that we're very focused on with skill tracks, because we've heard this very much, not just from our enterprise customers, but from our learners as well, and also from universities, it's really critical that they are able to get verifiable skill credentials, not just, this person took that course. And so we're very focused on leveraging AI to verify actual mastery of the skill, not just exposure to it.
That's really important. I'm glad you highlighted that, Greg, because one of my recent Forbes articles, I think it was an article I wrote last week, and I was talking about how to write a resume once you've been laid off. And one of the things I mentioned is, include certifications in your resume, but don't just dump them in. Don't just say, I just completed. Show some tangible results, like what projects did you complete? Something that goes beyond, it's a checkbox, I just completed it. Because completing a certification or even completing a degree doesn't necessarily translate to everyday practice unless you choose to. So I always tell people, like, try and build your portfolio while you're studying. If you're doing a certification, to practice like practical projects, work on, try and apply it to the workplace, or if you're not in a job, create your own portfolio of projects, do some things that you can evidence. You have something to show beyond the paper, like, okay, I've completed it. Because I'm noticing a lot of employers want results. They don't care so much about the paper. Okay, like, what can you do? So
Exactly.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And just out of interest, some people may be wondering, with Coursera, I know that there used to be a financial aid option for people who couldn't afford the courses at all, where they could get it for free or at a reduced price. Number one, is that still around? Because I'm not seeing that so much now. And number two, if it is still around, is Skills Tracks part of that, or is Skills Tracks just for the paid subscribers?
Number one, yes, it is still around. We still
Okay.
provide financial aid for those who aren't able to afford the full course. SkillTracks right now is available for our enterprise customers and their workforces, but we will be launching a consumer-focused version of SkillTracks over time.
Okay.
And one of the things that we do have on the platform is called Learning Paths, and this is available, across both our consumer and our enterprise. And really, SkillTracks is just a more tailored learning path, effectively, for those 4 specific areas I just mentioned. But we want to do the same thing on the consumer side. And on the consumer side, one of the things that we find individual learners, not surprisingly, when they come to our platform, oftentimes they don't know exactly what they want to learn. And so one of the things that we also have talked about this week at Connect is a capability called career-based discovery. And so trying to do there is, as learners, come to Coursera for the first time, we give them a short onboarding quiz to really help to understand what are their aspirations. And then we use that to provide more tailored recommendations of the types of courses that they can take that will help them with those career goals that they have. Because oftentimes you might think, well, I feel like I'm good at numbers, I think I might want to pursue something in data, but you don't really know what that means. And so what we try and do is get a better sense of that at the very beginning, and then recommend them a learning path that is tailored to that career aspiration.
That's good. So they're not starting all these courses, never completing them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. I think we're going to end this episode by throwing in a really wild, kind of out there question, but I always like to throw that in and try to surprise my guests. So here goes. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay, so I know when we talk about the future of work, we often say, by the year 2030, right? So let's take it a little bit further. Not 5 years, let's say 10 years from now. What do you think are the core skills that people need 10 years from now?
I think the core skill that people need 10 years from now is the ability to learn and adapt continuously. And so if you think about the history of education, typically you'd go through your childhood schooling, and then a good portion of people would go on to college, but not everybody. But then typically that's the end of kind of learning with a capital L, right? Some people might go on to grad school, and some people might go on to PhDs, but eventually, like, your quote education stops, and then you're just in the rest of your life where you apply what you learned. I think as the economy has increasingly shifted to a knowledge-driven economy, what that has meant is that you have to be learning on the job continuously. And now with AI, it's shifting from not just knowledge to skills and applied skills that you can demonstrate that you have. And so I think that, in 10 years' time, if you're not somebody who is continuously learning all the time, I think you really face a real risk of being left behind in the job market because of the pace of Gen AI and the changes that it is creating across every aspect of work in every different domain. One of the things actually that we just announced this week that I'm really excited about is a partnership with Anthropic. And so Anthropic is now going to be creating courses on Coursera that teach people how to use AI safely and effectively. Because obviously, that is a real concern that people have. And so,
and that's their focus anyway. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
I
sorry.
just,
Yes, and yeah, that's their focus anyway. That's amazing. I think that's really good. And when it comes to, and I totally agree with you, you know, when it comes to adaptability and like you said, learning doesn't stop when you graduate. You never technically graduate because you're really supposed to be continuously learning, continuously adapting. And I can only imagine that if you'd thought that, you know, for Gen Zers, for example, if they thought that their career development ended with graduation. Can you imagine, for example, 10 years from now, and the pace of how the workplace is going? If you just stop there, you're practically going to be unemployed. You're just going to be completely irrelevant.
I
So
think
I
that's right.
think what you guys are doing at Coursera is so timely, and the fact that you guys are adapting as well very quickly to the pace of how things are moving is really amazing. And I'm really excited to see how Skills Tracks goes. It's going to be awesome for sure. Thank you so much, Greg, for being on the podcast. And for those of you who are watching and listening, don't forget to tune in and listen back to the other episodes and share this with a friend. Like, rate this show on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, comment, and don't forget to definitely follow this podcast. And I'll see you in the next episode.